Is Alena Shautsova. I'm an immigration attorney from New York. And today, as always, we're going to be discussing live the most recent immigration news. We're going to talk about what's happening in the United States immigration system. Specifically, I will give you some updates with regard to the state of immigration courts in the United States, what's happening with asylum travel ban, and of course, I'm going to answer some of you guys' questions. So please say hello, let me know where you're watching from, and don't forget to type up your questions in the chat so I can go back to them and answer them. And here today, this is your opportunity to ask me a question for free. If I will have enough time, I will absolutely cover your question as well. Again, thank you very much for joining. I'm Alena Shautsova, and we are going to start. Hi, Timold. Hi, Royce. Hi, Sam. Thank you guys for joining. Hey, from Queens. Yay. Connecticut. I see we have good coverage here. So thank you guys for joining. Again, we're going to be talking about the most recent immigration changes to come, perhaps, what's going on. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about concerns immigration courts. Many of you have filed for asylum. Many of you are planning on doing that. Many of you ended up in immigration court, perhaps through no fault of your own, just because your status expired and DHS, Department of Homeland Security, discovered that. Maybe there was some minor traffic violation, and that's how you ended up in immigration court, various ways. But a lot of you noticed that if your case has been pending for a while, recently many cases were taken off the calendar. It means that there is no future court date for you. And I received tons of phone calls from people asking me, what can be done about that? Well, what can be done, we're going to discuss a little bit later, but I'm going to tell you why it's happening. Well, it's happening because number of pending cases in the United States Immigration Court reached 2.1 million. 2.1 million cases, and there are not that many judges. If I had to estimate, I believe no more than 2,000 judges and 2 million cases. The new judges are being added almost every month, but that's of course not enough to address that huge backlog. So cases which the government UIR decided are not priority will be put in a trial queue, will be left without future court date. Now, what can be done about that? Well, I'm not going to talk about how to reform the EOIR system, but for you as a person, what can you do? To my knowledge, there is only one thing that can be done. It's a motion to advance a hearing date can be filed, but whether or not it will be wise for you to do that, apart, of course, from requesting prosecutorial discretion or termination of the proceedings, whether or not for you it will be wise to do that depends on many specific circumstances. And just because you can do it, it does not mean that you should do it. You should consult with an attorney first to see if you're going to be ready for the trial and if it will be beneficial for you to request that advance hearing date. So 2.1 million cases just in courts. As you can imagine, the system is simply overloaded, even though everybody's trying to speed up the resolution, like the looking into those cases. Courts predominantly are handling hearings now online. I in the past year, I have never had a hearing in person. Everything is done online. Of course, it speeds up the case a little bit because nobody needs to travel, and you can save this precious time working on cases. I mean, I grew to like online hearings, but I know many people would say they're not their favorite. However, this is the way that we're operating right now. But apart from introducing this online system, honestly, I haven't seen much progress in the way the court is handling the matters to speed up the the whole process. Yes, we can file documents in new cases online. It saves postage and time, I would say, paper, but very often you file something and you are waiting for the feedback for way too long. And again, we know why, too many cases, but hopefully, so one step at a time, this problem will be addressed. So another point, if you're trying to take your case out of the queue, you have to have very good arguments as to why you should go ahead before this 2.1 million cases. Just keep this in mind. One more thing I wanted to share with you is the constant fight and updates about asylum travel ban that is being proposed by the Biden's administration. In my personal view, I do not believe this ban bar will be implemented. But if it will be very harsh. It will probably deny an opportunity to many, many people to seek asylum in the United States. Everyone, pretty much, who is traveling to the United States through Mexico, if Mexico is not their native country, and if they were not paroled to the United States. Very important things happening with this asylum regulation right now. If you're someone who is planning on seeking asylum in the United States, you need to know about that potentially this particular ban will be administration's response to termination Title 42. Title 42 currently prevents most asylum seekers and people who would like to enter the United States from coming to the United States because of the pandemic reasons, but this set to expire in May. And if you recall, the federal court ruled that it was supposed to expire in December and gave administration more time, and then appeal followed, and now we are on borrowed time with this Title 42. Most likely, it will set to expire, and administration will have to do something to curb the amount of people coming to the United States, even though it can be unfair to many people. So I don't think that this particular measure is going to go into effect. But what I think is going to happen is that detention, immigration detention, is going to be used more often, and perhaps expedited removal proceedings. Rather than paroling everybody into the United States, the government probably is going to use the expedited removal procedure, which was used before, so it's nothing new. And I think it's going to be a safe choice for them to do that. So that's what I think is going to happen with this asylum travel ban. If you see in the news, if you follow immigration news, you're most likely going to encounter a couple of articles about it because there are heated debates about how it is unfair and it should not be implemented. And now, guys, without further ado, I'm going to answer some of your questions. Hi, Grace from Baltimore. Yay. Hi, Nasei. Hi, Duke. Hi, Royce from Missouri. This is a great question, Angie. Hi, Angie. How long you can stay out of the country with a green card? All right. So when you're traveling outside of the United States and you're just a green card holder, not a citizen, it is generally safe to stay outside of the United States for less than 6 months. But do not abuse it. If you travel to the outside of the United States and stay, let's say 5.5 months, come back for a month, then leave again for 5.5 months, it will give CBP a reason to think that you're no longer maintaining your US permanent residency. So I would not abuse it. I would not abuse this rule. However, if you are somebody who knows that you will have to remain outside of the United States for more than 6 months and perhaps for even more than a year, there is something that you can easily file for, which will preserve your permanent residency. It is called a re-entry permit. A re-entry permit. A re-entry permit is very easy to file for, relatively not expensive, and it will allow you not to worry on your way back to the United States, whether or not CBP is going to allow you to enter the United States, because you did the right thing. You filed for re-entry permit on time before you left the United States. So this is what you need to do if you are one of those persons who think that they will stay outside of the United States for a long time. Re-entry permit. Hi, YJ. Hi, Sevgen. Hi, Jan. Hi, Richard. Hi, Canada. Hi, El Haj. I know some of you using not your real name. That's totally fine. Hi, Singh. My brother is on his way. Are they still withdrawing them? Not really sure what it means, but if your brother is trying to come to the United States to seek asylum, I would recommend that he would use something called CBP-1 app. This is a legal way to enter the United States for humanitarian purposes. CBP-1 app, it is available in northern and central Mexico only. The person will have to download it, will have to answer questions, take a photo of themselves, and present themselves at the border at the set day and time. Hi, Mr. Ahmad, please send me your full question so I will know how to answer it. Hi, Naseh, I'm in the removal proceedings because I overstayed. Just got my EAD approved because I-130 got approved. Can I apply for advanced parole? All right, so you got your EAD approved most likely because you filed I-45 also application for permanent residency in the United States. But if you are still in removal proceedings, advanced parole is not available. So unfortunately, you will first have to either terminate the removal proceedings, or you will need to receive your green card first to be able to travel. Hi, Yvette. My friend has a green card for 4 years this month, but last year she stayed out of the country for 9 months. When she can apply for citizenship, and does the time she stayed out of the country interfere with applying for citizenship? Certainly, the time that one stays out of the United States, with exception, there are some limited exceptions when your time when you're staying outside of the United States counts towards you're staying in the United States. Let's say you're on a military base or you're employed by a US government overseas. But usually, of course, it will interfere with a person's ability to file for citizenship. My personal recommendation would be to wait till a full set of continuous residence is fulfilled again, which is usually 2.5 years. Usually, if she received her green card based on let me rephrase it. If she's filing for the citizenship, not because she's married to a U.S. citizen, right? So, a general rule: a person can file for citizenship once they maintain their residency for 5 years. And 2.5 of those years, they stayed in the United States physically. It's very, very important. So if that's the case, then I usually recommend people not to risk it and wait till they meet the requirements again. Why? Because when you stay outside of the United States for more than 6 months, USCIS may state that you interrupted the continuous physical presence. It's a rebuttable presumption, but very often they rule not in your favor. Hi, Kamel. Hi, DT Will I have a problem getting U visa in my case if I was arrested by mistake years ago? No charges. If you were arrested, just arrested, no charges, I don't think you're going to have any issue, but you do have to disclose it. Okay, it's very, very important. When you file any immigration forms, make sure that you disclose all the information very, very accurately. Also, if you're not sure as to what happened to you in the past, you can always order self-background check, FBI, self-background check. And I recommend people to use printscan.com service, printscan.com. You go to that website, you choose your location, make an appointment, and they handle everything for you for a small fee. So you're going to see what's in your FBI file. Hi, Grace. I'm in the removal proceedings and my individual hearing has been scheduled next year, February. But they're asking for all my tax filings. Why? I do not know why. It depends on what is it that you're filing for. Some reliefs require you to show that you're a person of good moral character. And sometimes the judges would like to see your tax returns, even if you're an asylum seeker. But if the court asks for it, you have to comply. Sometimes people do not file their taxes. So what are you going to do in this situation? Well, of course, you're going to consult with a tax professional, either certified public accountant or your, accountant or attorney, tax attorney, usually a CPA who's going to be handling it. But it's possible to file taxes for the years that you missed usually. So don't worry, it can be fixed. And I'm going to answer the last question for today. Hi, Alena. I have deportation since 2012. It's better to apply to remove deportation first before my wife, who's US citizen, to petition for me, or should we just go ahead and apply for me? That's an excellent question. If you have a removal order in the United States, most of the times, not always, but most of the times, to adjust status in the United States, you will have to reopen your proceedings first. But to do that, you have to show to court that you have a possibility of relief, meaning possibility of receiving a green card, but for that order of removal. So the next step would be, number one, to have I-130 approved, that basis for your green card, and of course to see if, but for the order of removal, you will be admissible, meaning that for example, if you enter the United States legally with a visa or on a parole, okay, sometimes people can qualify for something called 245I exception, grandfathering exception, allowing certain people to file for green card even if they don't have a legal entry, but very strict rules apply in this situation. So I would recommend you guys to consult with an attorney and see what is the appropriate route. Sometimes you'll have to file for waivers rather than filing motion to reopen. It depends. And another important thing to remember is this: if your order of removal was the result of you not coming to court, not showing up in court, it's always best to file to reopen the case, regardless of your entry issue. Why? Because there is a separate bar, what's called permanent bar, for those who miss their court hearings, if they receive the proper notice of the court hearing, for 5 years. So you may think that everything is great, and then you find out that there is this permanent bar and you have to stay outside of the United States for 5 years first, even if you qualify otherwise for waivers. So lawyers are here to help, to avoid mistakes, okay? To avoid serious mistakes. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please like, share this video. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, join our page. I do provide regular updates and just immigration tips. We have such a good website with years worth of work filled with great information on various topics. Green cards, asylum, we have asylum library, country conditions library, where we put articles analyzing the most pressing issues various regions are going through. So you can see, certain materials, links that can be helpful in your research if you're filing for asylum. And just generally also provide updates with regard to the state of immigration reform there as well, and what the government is planning for us, like this particular update with regard to the asylum travel ban. So visit the website, join my pages, and stay in touch. And I hope to see you soon.